and we need to go through what we call a phased approach. So what is likely to happen is that we are likely to go through a process that perhaps does some bit of testing, where we allow harvesting of some of those of mature and mature plantations against some very strict guidelines that will be imposed and implemented through a process that is agreeable and that is extremely consultative, both at the national, county, and local level, so that we don't find ourselves in a situation again where we have communities, we have people who are complaining about shortages of water, shortages of other arid forest resources whose scarcity can be attributed directly to forest resource destruction. So that is the conversation we'll be having at the ministry and within government at length.
We have agreed that this policy must be, and the bill must be fast-tracked. It is consistent with the national policy that is already in place. It's being reviewed, and we shall review all of them in tandem, so that all of us as a country are talking to each other as partners, not as competitors or negative competitors, but as partners who want to make a change and to drive history in the positive direction of environmental action, positive action, and leaving nobody behind, no county behind, no individual behind, no farmer behind. We are recognizing even the individual forest farmers who own forests, and we want them to be incentivized if they're searching. We want them to get incentives so they can be able, we can have individual farmers who grow maize, growing trees, and becoming planters as we move on into the future. Thousands of youths, almost millions of youths, who depended on the timber industry, are now lotting at home. I would like to put up a strong case that we open up the plantations that are mature, but you also do it in a sustainable manner. And when we cut trees, we must plant. I think even if the trees belong to the national government, we must be convinced as a governor that once the national government cuts those trees, I'll get my share, but also more fundamentally, there will be replenishments. There are trees awaiting for planting immediately, and that the Shaba system works well for everybody in the counties and in the national interest. And that's what I want to emphasize. Many towns that grew through the efforts of sustainable forest management, have literally been crippled because of wanton destruction of the management regime of the plantations. It is not because of cutting trees. Cutting trees is not the issue, because when you cut, you must plant. But because you plant so that you can harvest, those trees cannot sustain beyond possibly 20, 30 years. They must be cut and others are planted. So we should not criminalize, the plantation issues or the tree issues. I know the colonial aspects where trees were supposed to divide tribes, but we want to have trees that make us friends, that unite communities, that we're able to grow trees together. We are talking about developing the ecosystems of Abadeas and Mount Kenya as an international community with Rift Valley, who get waters from the Abadea forest, with the Wasonyiro, with Wajir, who consume waters from Abadea forest through the Kobosat. We want all of us to work as brothers and sisters, as blocks, work conserving together, the ecosystems together, as counties, inter-county synergies, inter-block synergies. This is what we are discussing here. This is what is in the policy framework. And so that the forests unite us, the trees unite us, the environment unites us and doesn't destroy us and the future of this country.